It is Monday, August 3rd, which means that the Red Dead update has been out for just about to be a week. It's Monday evening, so I've already played all I'm going to today. So, from my perspective, I've had a week of the update. What do I think of it after a week? I made an update a few days ago where I talked about kind of the good, the bad, and the ugly of it in general. Mostly, I still agree with all those things. I think the good things are still what I said before, although I will add one more thing to it. The legendary animal missions are another version of the good. Those are some pretty cool missions, and I've enjoyed playing those, and it is just about the only thing that I enjoy doing for Harriet. Harriet herself and her bizarre political correctness and bizarre PETA hippiness is still the ugly, although as I've been exposed to more of it, it has become more obvious that it is somewhat satirical and she is made out as a parody. But at the same time, you have to treat her straight and you have to deal with her if you want to advance in the role. You can't throw a stick of dynamite or a fire bottle at her tent and watch her burn like the witch that she is. You can't lasso her, tie her up, feed her to the alligators. You can't tackle her and pummel the crap out of her, which is what she is asking for nonstop. You can't do any of those things. You just have to take it when she sprays you and yells at you and says the most insane, stupid things to you, and then go do her stupid missions for her if you want to advance. That is still very much the ugly. Another thing that I will add here is that now that we've had it for about a week, there's a couple of glitches that have become more apparent. The biggest and most egregious of these are the disconnect errors. Now, I am not having nearly as many problems as some people do, but I've had a lot of errors. And in fact, just today, for a better part of an hour and a half, I only got like 20 minutes of play in or so because it kept disconnecting me before I could really do anything. I finally just walked away, but then I came back and everything was fine and I didn't disconnect at all. So I think that it's obviously a problem. I hear stories of people on YouTube who go 6 hours without being able to stay connected for more than 30 seconds. That's insane. I honestly don't think I don't know that I believe that even. Although there are some reports that maybe some platforms are worse than others. Maybe Xbox, in fact, has the worst run of it. So I'm not sure quite what to think. I think obviously kind of the busiest time of the evening, it's the worst. But I've really only had one time in this last week where it was really pretty bad. Like I said, I walked away for an hour and then it was fine, and I didn't disconnect at all after when I came back and sat down and played for 2 hours, or close to that at least. I think it was maybe more like an hour and a half. No, I think it was closer to 2 hours. The other thing that's also a bad, not an ugly, but a bad, is the legendary animals and their spawns. So you can go do the missions for Harriet, and they're pretty cool. I have never seen more than half a dozen different legendary animals spawn in her mission wheel, though. Now, granted, I have not fully ranked up my Naturalist. I've had it for a week. I'm over halfway through the Outlaw Pass. I'm over halfway through the Naturalist role. I don't play for more than, if I played 2 or 3 hours a night, that's kind of a lot. Over the weekend, I think on Saturday, I played 4.5 hours. That's a lot, though. I don't normally play even that much. This week I have because I've been excited about all the new stuff. But, I haven't really played a ton. I haven't played a ton because I can't. I have a day job and I have a family. On top of that, I think, it's pretty quick to do this stuff. But there's a lot to keep you busy. I've also been distracted, maybe you could say, by Gus, which is maybe a better activity to do after the Naturalist role is complete. But I don't really want to wait for the Naturalist role to be complete because I prefer that to the Naturalist role. I prefer hunting and bringing stuff to Gus and having him make me cool new stuff that I can wear or whatever, do stuff with. So I prefer that. Another thing, I don't know if I want to call it good or bad necessarily. The collector was nerfed as we expected, but they only nerfed the expensive collections, the jewelry and the coins. Unfortunately, which I'm fine with because I prefer to get most of my money doing the moonshiner anyway, because it's more passive. You don't have to just spend all your time running around doing it. However, in order to make the trinkets that Gus makes, you need different items of jewelry, and since you cannot reliably find them, that's going to be kind of a big frustrating deal to find the right trinkets for him to make you the stuff that he needs to make you. I think another thing that's bad about the roll is the general overpricedness of things. The roll itself is overpriced. 25 gold for what really doesn't feel very much like a tier 2 roll like the moonshiner. There's no story missions. There's no, there's not the same content that the moonshiner offered us. Not only that, the roll itself is really one that nobody was asking for. Luckily, they added the trapper to it also, which is something that I think people were asking for and were excited to get, and certainly that's something I'm excited to get. But nobody was excited for this roll. This is not the roll anybody actually wanted. And it's not a great roll. It's not a terrible roll. I do enjoy some aspects of it. Like I said, I do find the legendary animal missions to be... I've had more fun doing them than I did doing the legendary bounty missions, even though there's some similarities to them, obviously. So the roll isn't terrible, but it's not great. But it's overpriced for what it is. The price for the outfits was jacked up from what they were on the last 4 rolls. They're more expensive here than they were in the last 4 rolls. Not only that, they're ridiculous, and nobody wants them anyway, except as maybe because they're completionists or as kind of a joke. Especially the top level one, which is 12 gold, which is insane. I don't know why it's 12 gold when the other top level ones cost $545. The tier 3 outfit costs $500 here, which was $445 in the other 4 rolls. So everything's more expensive than it should be. The horses, the same price, or roughly so, if I remember correctly. And some of the other things, the stuff that you can get from Madame Nazar after you unlock it is probably roughly the same price. Everything that Gus makes you, most of it's kind of expensive, especially all the legendary outfits. They're, between $600 and $800 or $900 each. So it's an expensive roll, and there's quite a few things gated behind gold bars that you can't get without spending gold. Of course, you just dropped a bunch of gold on the Outlaw Pass and the roll itself. So I don't know. I feel like it's expensive. And granted, the stuff that's expensive is kind of the optional stuff. You don't really need it. And even if you buy the Outlaw Pass, you get that gold back eventually when you finish it. Which, at the rate I'm doing, a week from now, I'll probably have already done it or be just about to do so. But it's kind of... I don't know. It makes it feel a little chintzy that, they're putting gold gates on so many things that didn't have them in other rolls, and that they kind of jacked the price up without content that justified it. It feels equivalent to the tier 1 rolls from the Frontier Pursuits, not the tier 2 roll from the Moonshiners. So we'll see where they go with this. We do know already a little bit about what's coming down the pike, and there will be more updates really not that far from now. We know there's going to be a Halloween pass of some sort or another, probably shorter than Outlaw Pass 3, because I think there's only going to be a short amount of time that we do it. But it'll have some weird kind of spooky stuff. Ideally, because this is something at least I have been asking for and posting on the comments of every YouTube guy that I could find. Not that goes directly to Rockstar, but I don't know, maybe they pay attention to it. And I've sent it to Rockstar customer support too. I would love to see some kind of witch hunter or ghost hunter type of role. Sam and Dean Winchester, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Van Helsing in Red Dead, and that would be entirely appropriate for Halloween time frame. Sometime in the month of October, issue the Halloween Pass. It's a shortened Outlaw Pass, and a supernatural hunter role of some sort, where we go kill that stupid vampire in Saint Denis, and we go chase down all those ghosts and cults and whatever else that there's a million Easter eggs of in the game. I think that would be tons of fun. Add some werewolves, add some, the Frankenstein robot that we have to go get. I don't know. There's an awful lot of opportunity and possibility. I think that would be just a lot of fun. Add a Bigfoot. Let us burn Harriet at the stake for the witch that she is. So, I don't know. We do know that something's coming, though, and there's been some leaked images of what some of that content is going to be, at least. And so we know that they're putting some effort into this, and I think that they have discovered that for whatever reason, and I think maybe everybody being stuck at home is part of it, there's a lot more interest in Red Dead Online than maybe they thought, and they're leaving it fallow for as long as they did was probably not a great idea. Now that they've put this update, they call it a massive update. It really isn't, though. It's kind of a modest update. It's not even, I don't know if I would call it as big as Moonshiners or not. The role itself isn't as big, but it brings the Trapper with it too, which is almost like a role in terms of amount of hours that you would play it, maybe even more than a role, especially if there's drip feed of lots of new outfits that get added, which I suspect that there certainly will be. So maybe it's the equivalent of a role in terms of how much playability it has, but of course you don't have a role, and doing stuff for Gus doesn't give you any role XP or anything like that, and it doesn't give you any unlockables other than the stuff that he's made for you that you can now buy. So I guess I'm happy with the update. It's fun to have some new stuff to do. Some of the stuff I like, some of the stuff I don't really, but even then it's fun to do. I promise when I'm done with the role, I won't ever go back to Harriet, except maybe to do legendary animal missions, if we get to the point where we can actually get all of the legendary animals to cycle through her list of missions. I don't even know for sure if I've seen half a dozen. I think maybe I've only seen 5. But certainly there's no more than 6 animals that I've seen, and it's always the same ones that come up. And although there's 3 that you can choose from at a time, after those rotate out in 48 minutes, you just get others that you've seen before over and over again. And there's a lot more legendary animals. The free roam legendary animal spawn is terrible. Something's wrong with it. They're just never there. I've played a lot, and I've only ever seen 2. I was only able to hunt 1. I've heard lots of other people spend hours looking for them purposefully and never finding them. Curiously, the only 2 that I saw, and the first one was like the very first day, and I either lost it or couldn't figure out what I was doing. I was still trying to figure out how this legendary animal hunt thing was going to work. And it got away from me. The second one, both times I was just riding around. I wasn't looking for them in either case, which is kind of ironic because that's the only time that I've seen them. But there's a lot of legendary animals. I don't know how in the world you're supposed to find most of them, quite honestly. So maybe Harriet's rotation will improve, and maybe things will be a little better when I have the role maxed out. But most of the people I've seen online who are saying that they're still not seeing them even after hours of looking do have the role maxed out, and they're still not having any luck. So I don't know if there's an issue with the spawns. Maybe it's related to the issue that regular animal spawns had for months and months. Maybe it's related to what's causing all of these disconnects. Maybe there's just too many freaking people playing for their servers, and it's because they're doing peer-to-peer servers instead of dedicated servers, which they really need to do. Anyway, I give the update 6 or 7 out of 10. I'm glad it came. I don't mind it, but I'm also glad that there's more coming soon, because this one wasn't the best that it could have been, and it was a little disappointing that it wasn't better. I really kind of hoped that it would be. Anyway, good luck to all of you guys looking for your legendary animals, and hope you have better luck than I did.